Yeah.
Connie's my friend, by the way, again, just so you know. I wrote this comedy when I was in the shower. It's the time when I'm most self-critical. Yeah. So if it's not apparent, I'm not from around here. I'm not even from this country. I grew up in a place far away where they know little of America and its culture. I'm from Texas. Now, when I tell people that for the first time, they don't believe me. They say, if you're from Texas, where's your cowboy hat? Where's your belt buckle? Where's your accent? Where's your horse? It gets old when people just stereotype you all the time. And it wasn't until I bought my first pair of cowboy boots that a whole different side of me started to come out. People have all these ideas about what it means to be from Texas. They think just because you're from Texas, you're a Texan man, you have a truck bed full of guns. Well, I do have a truck bed full of guns. But I don't just shoot people. Unless they're on my lawn. People say, oh, you're from Texas. You must have woken up early and ridden a horse to school growing up. Hell no! I didn't go to school. That's the Texan part of me talking. The truth is, I left Texas to go to an Ivy League university, where I never really felt in. I never really fit in. People assume Ivy League schools just aren't places for good old Texan folk. It was like, I first got there, everything I said was misinterpreted. Even the simple stuff. I'd be like, hey guys, my name's Philip. I'm from Dallas. Where do we pick up our books? They of course heard, the name's Dale Tyler McGee. I just rode up from West County. Where's the general store up here? I told my peers how impressed I was with the resources the school had to offer. I mean, it was like really anything you wanted to do, you could find. All you had to do was look really hard, put in the effort, and you'd find it. They, of course, heard, hooey, there is oil here somewhere. Who wants to help me drill? It only got worse from there. I told my classmates how much I appreciated the diversity of the campus. I told them I respect the fact that everybody here is from a different culture, different origin, different background. They, of course, heard, ain't a lot of white people around here. Am I in the right place? I brought a friend of mine back home to Texas once. For Thanksgiving, actually. He had never been to a traditional American Thanksgiving. He was from South Africa. I remember I took him to a neighbor's house to show him how we party in Texas. He walks into the living room, and there are 12 taxidermy spring bugs hanging over the fireplace. He looked at me with a tear in his eye. Now, I thought it would be the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Then he mentioned that the springbok is the national animal of South Africa. Sorry, Betty. At some point, though, you really just have to embrace your roots. So I tried to be true to the inner cowboy. When I moved here to Boston, I tried to be chivalrous with Boston girls. On one of my recent dates, I remember walking arm in arm with the girl as we walked up to the restaurant. I opened the front door for her. As we sat down to the table, I pulled her seat out so she could sit down. Now, after all this, I expected her to look at me and say, wow, that is a true Southern gentleman. She actually said, what the fuck are you doing? Nothing I did was right. It came time to order. I'll take the 32-ounce steak with a side of gravy and mashed potatoes. I thought she'd look at me and say, or at least think, wow, that's a real man's order right there. She looked at me with disappointment. Philip, this is a sushi restaurant. By the end of the day, things just started to click. I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to try to be a cowboy. I'm just going to be myself. We were walking outside. I'm like, oh, it's so cold around here. My hands, they're so dry. Do you have any lotion? She looked at me with eyes of lust. Apparently, she heard My hands are all getting torn up from working at the lumber yard. They need you, honey. You want a massage? People love talking politics in Massachusetts. Gay rights, abortion, medical marijuana. That's when the Texan comes in to shed some wisdom. If you don't like the laws of the land, let's secede. People are always like, no! There's a lot you hear about Texas that just isn't true. There's a lot that's a complete exaggeration. But if there's one thing that is true, it's that everything really is bigger in Texas. Yep.